Good evening, guys. Sorry, I'm today extremely busy for last 2 days with the IMO competition, and somehow it has not. There has been no time for me actually. There've been back-to-back meetings from morning 9-10 o'clock to evening 9-10 o'clock. So I've just got this 40 minutes break from the teams. I got 8 teams to guide on the IMO competition, so sorry. But commitment is commitment. We had told you that Tuesday and Friday would we will come live. Last Tuesday we missed because of some technical issue that there was no, either time was not there and I was also outside. So let's do it now. And hi everyone, thank you very much, thank you. Let me add, we have a special guest today to discuss the things, and he's from IMU campus, associate professor, Captain Parag Malhotra. So I'm adding him and adding NavGuide Solutions. Hi, Kashish, how are you? Hi everyone. So the show is same as to what we discussed last time on decoding the millennial mariners, and I hope we take these discussions forward. And hi Debashish, how are you?
Hello, sir. Yeah, how are you?
I'm fine. Hi Parag.
You,
Parag is a
you.
very handsome guy.
Hello,
Parag has just joined for us. Hi Captain Parag, how are you?
Fine, sir.
Oh, very good. So Parag has recently joined the Instagram. He's so handsome that I'm sure that all the Instagram young girls are going to fall for him. And he's going to be a true, he's going to be a true millennial icon. So Parag, with me we have Debashish Basu. He is Captain Debashish Basu. He's a proprietor and of course the director of NavGuide Solutions. NavGuide Solutions works in this particular area of developing new learning and teaching tools. They also have a separate company which is also propelling the vessel inspection regime and things like that. So for our viewers, we have Captain Parag Malhotra today. Parag Malhotra is associate professor in TS Chanakya, very bright man and with a very bright future ahead because he joined as a faculty we are very young, and he is in true sense, so as to speak, a millennial kind of a teacher who understands the cadets and their psychology very well. So Parag, this is a show about decoding millennial mariners. So this phrase has been coined a few years back, and there has been a lot of discussion about the millennials and their learnings and all that. Millennials are basically people who are born after 1984, so as to speak. I mean, but millennial are something which are hooked on to a lot of learning devices, and of course they do enjoy your kind of classroom training, but they also are very impressed with their devices in hand. You will always see them carrying mobile phones everywhere. So we are looking at decoding their learning. So there is a lot of millennial thing happens in the world in other industry. Somehow merchant navy it trickles down in the end because we are not so valued. Though all our millennial kids now are chief officers, masters on board, taking decisions. But the industry, and the academia, they don't understand them at all. We have no idea of how their learnings are and things like that. So I would hand over the floor to Debashish to explain more and about today's topic as well. Debashish.
Yeah, hi, Captain Captain Parag, Captain Gajanan, sir. As you rightly said, I mean, this is we have been carrying on this show for a couple of weeks now and discussing about the different kind of mindsets which the millennial or just broadly speaking, the younger generation of seafarers, because millennial is a very specific concept, but we are generally speaking about the younger generation of seafarers, 40 or below, from the age of 20 to 40, let's say that age group, and not just ashore, not just on board, also the people ashore in the various fields related to marine, and how we can work with them, and how we can improve the techniques which we use with them. So the specific thing, one of the things that I wanted to discuss today, if you agree, that is the concept of micro learning, and Captain Parag is right in the alley. I mean, working with the young kids and working with in the field of teaching, and there I expect this to be a very engaging discussion. So what micro learning? Just to give a broad overview to the
But
viewers
before
who
that,
might not. Yeah,
1 minute.
sorry.
Before you touch upon topic of micro learning, I would like to ask Parag a question. Parag, you've been teaching in TS Chanakya for some time now. So I mean, year on year, you've seen the first year batch coming up. Every time. I mean, last 1.5 year has been, of course, the break because of the COVID and things like that. But before that, so what has been your observation? I mean, do you need to change your teaching style for the every new year, the new batch and younger and younger kids coming? I mean, what has been your observation on this regard?
Actually, the teaching style changes automatically with the experience.
Okay.
Or as I am getting more experience, and automatically it is changing. So when I was fresh, newly joined in the TS Chanakya, uh, my style was totally different, and now I can understand the youngsters better than before, sir.
Oh, very, very relevant answer because this is what I was getting at. I mean, when you deal with the more younger and younger generation, even the teacher becomes younger. Even the person who teaches them delivers them the knowledge, kind of information which is experience turns into knowledge, and that also his delivery changes, understanding whether they understand or not. I mean, very relevant, Parag, very relevant answer. So we've been discussing about the various methodology in teaching. We also had a couple of other professors on the line, and we also had some young kids from other universities which had joined us earlier program to tell us as to what their learning specialities are. Since Debashish works on this, and I'm only propagating the show, so I would like Debashish to explain more about it. So we can ask him certain questions on thing. Yeah.
So, Captain Parag, if I may ask before we jump onto the topic, that you said you have your learning experience has changed your learning style. How exactly, if you can just elaborate a little bit, a few things about some new things that you feel are more effective that you find with the young generation. How do you think, or what are the things that you have come across or learned in the process?
Actually, with this youngster, I am also learning a lot because this young generation compared to me is better in new technology. They know better than me computer, even smartphones. They know how to use, and different new technology also. They are much far ahead, uh, better than me. So about the technology, I am learning from them, and when I joined shipping profession, sir, so I was not having that much of knowledge about this profession. But these youngsters, they do thorough research about this profession, and after that research only they join this profession. They know more than me when I was in the same standard, same level, more than me. They know.
We didn't know anything actually. I mean, I didn't know anything.
I was I
What
was
is
just
the
totally blank. I was not knowing anything about the shipping industry, but they knows much more than us, matlab, me compared to me.
No, true, true. I
true?
only had a hunger in the belly, nothing else. I had only had a hunger in the belly before I joined shipping. I mean, I wanted to do something very different. I was cut out for
Yeah,
army actually, but then okay. I mean, like they say, na, ki if you want to drink milk, you can't get milk, so you do away with the buttermilk, same color. So I came to merchant navy in that aspect. Like okay, I couldn't get in the army in NDA, so I said okay, let me get to the merchant navy. This is also a kind of a navy. So like that.
right. So as I was saying, this is something that is very close to my heart. I wanted to bring this up for quite a number of episodes, but we were sort of preparing the grounds for it. But the topic which I had in mind today is micro learning, and this may not. It's a very interesting topic. I believe it has the potential to invite a lot of debates and discussions, and there is a lot of things that we can discuss on this concept. So just to put it in a short, in a very brief manner, what is micro learning? What am I talking about? It's basically a new model of learning for the new generation, keeping in mind some of their, typical behavioral traits. And what behavioral traits we are talking about? Specifically, we are talking about the impatience and the extremely low attention span. Now, just to give you an idea, there was a worldwide research conducted in 2003. In 2003, they said the average attention span is 12 seconds. 12 seconds later, you will get diverted. So if the person in front of you cannot hold your attention, you may nod and you may say yes, yes, everything, but you will be in a different zone. You have already drifted away from that conversation or that teaching or that training. 12 seconds. Now, in 2013, that became 8 seconds. That same study was conducted after 10 years. In 2013, it was 8 seconds. And it has been reducing ever since. Right now, it will be again probably in 2023 or 22, they will have the next study. So we'll know how much it is now. But even if we consider that our attention span is 8 seconds, that is for all, I mean, across the age groups. For the younger generation, it is even less. Now, what can you do? How can you modify, or how can we adjust our teaching styles to adjust to this kind of an attention span? Many industries have already addressed this. Our industry has not yet. I mean, most of the systems we use in the maritime industry has not yet addressed it. Now, micro learning is a concept where you give information on a very short bite, information like in bits and pieces, instead of trying to make the person expert in something in one go. You are going to make that person an expert, but instead of giving that information in one go, you are breaking that into very small bites and very small chunks, so which is sort of digestible, which they can accept. And what some of the essential tools that we use in micro learning. And I must also say, because I mean, what makes me qualified to talk about it, or what is my qualification to discuss this? The reason why I'm so keen on this concept is that we are one of the very few companies who are working in the field of micro learning, taking it to the maritime industry. How we are developing our tools, how we are developing our instruments, they are all based on micro learning. And the kind of feedback which we are getting from the younger generation and from the companies we are working with, we can tell you it works. But there is a lot of debate that can happen, and I'm willing to go into that kind of a discussion, because we need to discuss this. We cannot carry out the kind of, a lot of the onboard training which we have, or the training systems which we have, they can be improved if we bring in the concept of micro learning. So that is essentially, it's a new age learning, keeping to the requirements of that short attention span, and not to fight it, but to work with it. So
But
yeah,
how,
I
I
mean,
mean, when you said about, small packages and small bites to attract the
yeah,
focus attention. So how is it done? I mean, how will it
yeah,
be
let me,
for the merchant navy education? Like, I mean, I always think of, when you teach somebody something, I think of stability. I think of practical
actually,
navigation.
yeah,
I think of, chartwork. Now chartwork is replaced by IGDISC. So I think of IGDISC. How do I teach him IGDISC with proper attention? One is that he needs to learn, that he understands and he focuses. That's a different
Yeah.
trait altogether. But if I need to train somebody who has, got trained on this but he has to sharpen his tools more to learn some other aspects very clearly. And for that, the ignorance comes a big play. So will
Yes.
the micro learning overcome the ignorance? I mean,
Yeah.
in that sense?
So the approach is a little bit different from what we think, how we feel. Like I said, that if you feel that you will call a student to a class or you will conduct a class which will make that person extremely a very, I mean, an expert in that topic, that is not we are not going, I mean, that is not the concept of micro learning. It is not making a person expert in one go. So one of the things, I mean, just to touch on that, let's say you have taken the example of an egg disk. Okay. Now, if you think how we in general consume information today, I mean, on a day-to-day basis. Let's say if you are going for a, if you want a job, you are going to go for a course and you are going to go for a training. You need the certificate, then you get a job. That's a different approach. But on a day-to-day basis, you have a doubt. Let's say you are into a job, you're doing a job. Let's say today you want to learn how to use Instagram. Very simple example. Okay. So for this, you will not think of getting into a course or getting into a systematic training. You will need only that information at that point of time which you need. You don't need a whole concept of social media and how social media works, background of social media, and then someone tells you about Instagram, then someone shows you how. No. You just need to see how Instagram works, how it can benefit you at that point of time. Now, one of the essential things of micro learning is that the information which you are looking for has to be available to you at all times. What I mean by that is that today, if you want to learn about something like Instagram or something how Amazon works, you want to order something. You want to order something on Amazon, but you have never used it. You don't have the time to learn about the history of Amazon before you order that. You just need to learn how to order. That is all that you need. So, how one of the information like that is given to you on a bite-sized packet, and anytime you want, you can get this information. It is not restricted to a classroom. It is not restricted to a training. So, when you want to make someone an expert in a certain topic, if you go by the micro learning route, what happens is that we are developing such bite-sized packets which you can refer anytime, usually using your phone or using your digital devices. It is on your hand. So let's take an example of a second mate who has carried out a EGDIS course. He has gone through an EGDIS course. Let's say the instructors were superb. There was a superb simulator, and he has gone through the course. He has cleared his exam, and he has apparently he has got the certificate. So he's expected to be a expert in that. At an average, 80% of the information, no matter how good that training was, 80% of the information is lost within a matter of a month or less. It is usually less. So, but this second mate who's qualified to use, let's say he is trained on the GRC EGDIS. Now he is going to go on a ship which has a GRC EGDIS, and he is using this information to prepare for a inspection or prepare for a vetting inspection, let's say. So he is trying to recall, but 80% of the information which he had learned from the course has been lost. So how is he learning? The EGDIS is teaching him. The EGDIS is teaching what he needs to know. There are options. He is playing around. This concept of learning from the equipment is one of the examples of micro learning. Now, some equipments on board do not give you that option. You do not have that option how to overhaul a gangway motor. If you don't have something, the gangway motor cannot teach you how to overhaul it. You have to know it. So that is where micro learning comes into the picture. We need to have that information available to the person at the time when that person needs, and not too much information, only what he needs. It has to be within 4 or 5 minutes. It has to be within a few minutes. It cannot be a whole
Absolutely.
day course. So that is the concept I'm talking about, that you get the people. And this is something which our industry has not focused on for a large part of time. I mean, we still expect that you are going to the, you are practical on-job skills. You have to learn from your seniors, from the people on board. You have to do some errors, do some mistakes, then you have to learn. But today we have such technology, and that is what my company is working on this kind of work for almost 3 years now. So we have this technology today that I can give you that information on a practical on-job skill, that information which you will need at the time when you will need it, not to burden you with that from, even if we try putting that information into your mind 2 months back, if you don't use it for 2 months, you will lose it. So what to do for that? That is where microlearning comes in. And this way, in small bits and pieces, a person becomes an expert over time. And this is actually how we gather information and collect information anyway, even if on a day-to-day basis. So that is where the two systems merge. That what we are already doing on a daily basis is merging with the system of education which we are trying to conceptualize, and it is making it more acceptable to the person on the other side. Thinking about the younger generation, thinking about the people who really they cannot focus their attention for more than a few minutes. For them, instead of fighting it every day, no, you should remember this, you should remember that. Let's say we remove that compulsion. You don't have to remember because you have the information when you need it. That is one of the things. So, Captain Parag, if your thoughts on this or any inputs from yours?
Actually, I was not familiar about this micro learning idea, but this is very good idea. In this agar equipment you were telling, in that system, make it like user friendly, and it automatically guides the second mate that what is the next step, and by clicking which button he can get the information, we can retrieve the information, how he can correct the charts. So that would be very helpful for the mariners, those who cannot concentrate for a longer period, those who cannot remember जो है, all the information. So if we make that equipment user friendly, so that would be very helpful.
Yeah, and that is what we are aiming for. Yeah. Yes.
There's one interesting question which has come on my WhatsApp, which I posted onto the Instagram also, saying that somebody has noticed that the microlearning is very popular in other industries, basically in engineering and in medicines, because there is a information available which can be packed up into these small bits and pieces, and person can learn about without losing the focus and attention. So does it work because it's popular, or it's popular because it works? I mean, that's the kind of question.
It absolutely works, and it is popular because it works, and vice versa. Because it also addresses that one factor that you have to keep your training interesting, not just within a short time. You have to keep the training interesting. For example, for a long time, we have accepted that certain trainings cannot be interesting. We just have to do the training. We have to get the certificate because we need the job. It's only the certificate that matters to us. It's not the quality of what we learned or quality of how we gathered them. No, we only need the certificate so that we can go on board. And once we go on board, we will make some mistakes. Now, let us take a profession like ours, where the cost of a mistake can be billions of dollars and maybe a few lives. Do you really feel in our profession, people can take it so casually that, we will make some mistakes. First time you become a chief officer, what to do? We don't know everything. We will learn as we go. People are doing it. We have learned a lot on our jobs. I cannot say when I became a chief officer, I knew everything. Right. So, but
Yeah.
what would have happened? What would have happened if some disaster would have happened on my first contract or my first time as a mate when I stand on the bridge as on watch? I'm taking charge. Captain is a very old timer. He is he doesn't want to come on the bridge too much. So even if I ask him too many questions, he is irritated. What do I do? Do I have the option to make a mistake? Answer for our profession, it is absolutely no. I mean, we cannot make a mistake. So how do we empower the guys? How do we make sure instead of there are always students in the class who are brilliant. For them, you don't have to worry. I'm not just saying students. I mean, I'm saying in life also. Some people are smarter. Some people are more, intelligent. For them, usually they will manage somehow or the other their practical skills. But what about the others? Can we say that, okay, the others may make some mistakes, only the brilliant guys will not? Even the others do not have any chance of making mistakes. So if we have to give them, if we have to make them to that standard, bring them to that standard, we need to give the information at the time when they need it. In the sense that at least when, let's say, and I'm not talking about an emergency situation here. Let's say you're going to do a job on board. Let's say you are planning a job. You're planning to, let's say your third mate is planning to test the fire hose. You know, so this job is when he's planning about it, he might miss out a couple of things. How he is going to who he is going to call for starting the fire pump. Whether he will confirm that any of the isolation valves are shut or not. Whether he'll confirm that the engine room is okay with it or not. Or he will just go and start the fire pump because he wants to test the fire hose. So, what are the implications? What are the dangers? If we have to depend on every time the senior has to guide the junior, then the junior will learn. In many ships, that's not going to work. So what micro learning does is it helps us in creating some small bits of information. Let's say this example of testing a fire hose, how to test a fire hose. I do not need a half an hour or a 1 day course for that. I need 2 minutes of your time. I can make something within 2 minutes and show you the bullet points of not just show you like a PowerPoint. What we are doing, we are actually making videos out of these actual real ships. I mean, from real ships. So what I'm trying to say is a lot of these jobs on the ships, if you show that, okay, this is what you do, that is what you do, and then you're safe. You don't miss out on anything. Um, so that is the concept we are trying to promote and propagate, and even within the 2 to 3 minutes, keeping it interesting, keeping it engaging, so that the person doesn't lose his focus. And first 2 to 3 minutes, 4 minutes is actually very easy to keep your focus. After that, after 4 minutes, the person, any normal, young generation guy starts losing their attention after 4 to 5 minutes. Even sometimes, I mean, I'm sure for us also it is true because we have been using the internet for so long. So anyone who's using the internet, attention span keeps reducing because the internet gives you information and entertainment together. Anything you want to learn, information, entertainment, everything together. So if you're not entertained, if someone is just blabbing on and just saying something, the entertainment part is important here. If you don't keep the person engaged with a little bit of fun or little bit of interest, like if you see the TED talks, how they start the TED talk, there is a particular formula to it. It is not random. That is why some of the TED talks are so interesting. Some of them are boring, but most of them they have. So a lot of these concepts are used in micro learning, in creating micro learning. It is not just the information. It's not just we have to send this information to that person. No, it's not like that. That is of course one part, but a lot of it is the technology behind it, and especially the digital tools behind it, how we use them or how we give it to the person on the other side.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I fully agree with this. I mean, Parag would definitely, is probably wondering as to, why this kind of techniques are not being used in where he finds it difficult to attract the attention and focus of the students onto one particular subject. So I'm sure you must be wondering, Parag. But this is what the affair of maritime training today is. And idea was of that this talk show was to generate an awareness into millennials first, and then take it to the maritime training institutes. Because the link has to be from demand side. It cannot be on supply side. Just
Yes,
because I
yes,
have it, I
true.
don't want to put it on your head. When millennials think that here I need to, I don't, why not? I mean, I tell you an example of my own. I always draw that thing, my son, when I speak to him about, many things every day. We have about 2 hours conversation each other on different law practices and law things and what's happening today in High Court and Supreme Court and what judgments and things like that. What he's doing is law. So I realized that, he has got used to so much of the information which comes on his mobile that he does not need to read any book or does not need, but still he is very updated. So I always think, today I was saying a dialogue to him that your entire world of information or whatever you're gathering is in that 7-inch screen of your mobile, nothing else. So you got to
And
look beyond that. What is the beyond that? You're not telling why don't you go and meet some lawyers and meet some people and have interaction with them? You know, that would probably give them. But he told me they all go back in time. You see the concern. They all go back in time कि ये 1983 में ये हुआ था अरे 84 में
yeah,
ये हुआ था 1990 so he is not able to relate that because it's all the incidences before his birth. He knows the
and
cases of Keshavananda Bharati and Union of India and things like that and how Article 19 came into picture and freedom of speech and things like that. But they want to remain relevant today.
sure.
So today आज क्या हो रहा है आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट में क्या हो रहा है आज हाई कोर्ट में क्या हो रहा है आज कौन सा पीआईएल हुआ आज किसका डिसीजन कौन दिया so this is about the other industry in merchant navy what happens is it becomes a very narrow down professional education. You talk about pilot ladder. I mean, I did a some video exercise about 2019 asking some 50 random people on the streets in Mumbai, in Nasik, in Chennai, asking who's the pilot. What do you think pilot is? Just random video on my mobile. I have all those 50 clips with me. Everybody answered me everything except maritime pilot. They told me about pilot in trekking, pilot in the bike riding. They told me about pilot in of course, the most famous is the aircraft. And, but
Yeah.
nobody spoke about maritime. So our maritime, so we want to create the awareness in millennials, and then they can say, "Arey sir, teach me in a different methodology, please." Then the maritime training institutes will fall in line. कि, "Arey, there's a demand. There is a more, learning tool required for these students. Let's get
And
it."
and and so believe me that once the effectiveness of this concept or concepts like these come into existence, on once people start realizing that we are able to translate training into real life skills and making the people work better. I mean, in the sense that was the whole point of training anyway. That was supposed to be the whole point of training, any kind of training, to make the person more, effective in the on the ship. A person who's come through this training is more effective for the master. The master is sure that okay, no matter what the standard of the person is, whether this person is smart or not, I don't know. But since he has had this training, he will be effective. I know. The moment the industry realizes this, it's only a question of collecting data and getting this out into the world and collecting data over a 6-month period or over a 8-month period, how the people are affected using this. Once we have data, once the industry sees this, there is no other kind of, this is the only alternative that would survive, because if this can show results, anything which shows results in today's industry, in today's generation, in any industry for that matter, specifically for us, if I can say that a master going through this kind of a training is giving you lesser downtime, or a chief engineer is able to do the overhauling jobs in a shorter time, or so that is very, very effective pitch to propagate this kind of training, and that is what microlearning does, because it shows you results. It gives you results, because today, let's say, yes, last time I think I was talking to you that I mean, if you want to if you want to make biryani today, for example, and you don't want to take a cooking course, there's a micro learning option which YouTube gives you. You open YouTube and you watch a 5 minute video on biryani and you're an expert. Now the biryani itself will speak about your proficiency, how efficient you are. Then people eat it. If it is good, you have learned it from a short video. You may have learned it from a 5 minute video. Another person on the other side have gone through a cooking course with Sanjeev Kapoor for 1 year, and he has also made biryani. Now, if your biryani tastes better, it is the result which will talk. The people will say, yeah, you are a better cook, you are a better sailor, you are a better efficient performer, because performance matters. And let me draw an analogy of how micro learning is being used in other industries, because you spoke about other industries. In the medical industry, for example, doctors, they have to be updated with every new medicine, everything that is coming out, if they have to be on the top of their game, especially the doctors who are attending to so many patients on a daily basis. For them, it is even more. If they get outdated with their knowledge, if they get outdated, they will just be phased out. The person on the other side will win. And so to be in this competition, now they don't have time throughout their day. They are always running around. So there is a whole branch of micro learning which has come up to educate doctors with new medicines, new technologies. Now, this is not some journal or a write-up or a big circular or something like what we get on board. Sometimes it's a funny video for explaining that how the organism, how the molecule is reacting with another molecule and solving the problem. And this video may be 5 minutes. It may be a 5 or 4 minute video which they can watch between two chambers when they are going from one chamber to other chamber on the car. They don't have to come to a course for this. They don't have to start reading a lot for it. So this is the interesting thing about micro learning, and we can very, very well use it for our industry. Like one of the games we designed was to educate a person how to, on board, how to receive an inspector at the gangway. So instead of just saying that this is what you should check at the gangway, these are the checks you should do, we simply give that person a game. And when the person doesn't behave properly, the inspector who has come at the gangway, he will get annoyed, he will get angry. So it's sort of a fun mixed information, just not information, and it is not too long. It is within 5 minutes. So when I say, do you have 5 minutes? Usually you say yes. But if I say, do you have an hour? I've been actually trying to fix up an appointment with so many people. I just need 1 hour. It has been 1 year and they have not been able to spare 1 hour of their time. But if I say 5 minutes, usually people have time. So that is the difference between, macro and micro learning. That is what it is.
Yeah. Let's hear Parag now. Parag, the turn is yours. You're the guest, bhai.
Actually, whatever idea, whatever plan sir is telling, that is actually excellent. The examples he has given about the cooking, it is very easy to learn cooking in 5 minutes using YouTube. That example, I feel that is excellent example. As far as I understand, that micro learning thing is going to be very successful, whatever idea sir has given.
Correct. No, very true.
In our industry, in shipping industry, it is going to be definitely successful.
Let's say some practical things.
Just to ask you Parag question.
Yes.
Have you ever had in your teaching career? I mean, I also do teach too, but I teach to a slightly executive kind of. I am an MBA courses, so I get the mixed crowd, not only the millennials. Since you get those, between 19 to 21, 22, that kind of age group, have they ever demanded to you that, sir, ये क्या आप पढ़ा रहे हो? I mean, कुछ और पढ़ाओ ना, कुछ और दिखाओ. I mean, maybe a 3D movie or a kind of a, animation kind of a thing दिखाओ. ऐसे demand किया है कभी?
Yeah, sometimes they ask me to show the videos, and they learn more comparatively theoretical lectures from the videos,
Correct.
because in the videos, they can see nowadays in YouTube, Marine Gyan or different websites are available. From that, if I show them video, that they feel more happy, and the result is better compared to the classroom teaching, sir.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that video's duration is also not very long. In 5 minute or 3 minute or 4 minute videos, whatever we want to explain, that is explained perfectly, better than 1 hour classroom teaching, sir.
Correct. Absolutely.
The,
They say that
the,
picture speaks 1,000 words. ऐसा है वो. Picture speaks 1,000 words.
Right,
yeah.
Like
right.
Debashish has developed a very fantastic video on pilot ladder. I mean, since AMPA, I'm being with AMPA, I always promote the pilot ladder safety. And that pilot ladder video is so popular because there he has used animation, there he has used, kind of a new technology which makes you think, क्या करना है? Where do I find the information like this? So it's like that. So it's very interactive video. That's what I'm trying to say. All these millennial kids, they have started eating food at home, everything from their childhood by watching a TV, watching Tom and Jerry, kind of cartoons and animations. And we suddenly, when it comes to professional learning, even in medicines, I was talking to a doctor the other day, and I'm on this show. I told him, what have you brought changes into the medical profession in terms of teaching, to the young doctors? Do you see that these guys have different cognitive skills and different learning methodology? And the answer was yes. He's saying there are so many young. The first thing what they did medical colleges was that they hired a lot of young faculty. Young faculty means you pass out of MBBS, do a post graduation, join as a faculty. That young. So 25, 26, you know, and those kind of teachers, those kind of professors, those kind of lecturers, they connect so well. Of course, they have a visiting faculty which is 60-year-old and all that, who's an endocrinologist and kind of a nephrologist and kind of a cardiologist coming to their campus and teaching them about the experience and practicalness and all that. But the initial knowledge is delivered by these youngsters who have just passed out yesterday. And I tell you, even the law professor, I was talking to one of my sons, the professor, who's a High Court lawyer in Mumbai. So I was telling him, boss, how do you teach law in these days? Have you changed any methodology in teaching? I mean, he said, are you asking me about discussing cases and all that? He said, no. I said, I don't know. I'm just asking you. He said, storytelling. The storytelling has become such a huge kind of inception in teaching law. Instead of rectifying those bloody clauses and those erratic sentences, which with one comma they go from one place to other place, other place to other place, and in the end, for a layman like you and me, it doesn't make any sense. You know? But they have adopted, all the law colleges, they have adopted a storytelling thing. And those storytelling sessions just go on. And people have so much of attention span on the storytelling because you are yourself anxious to know what's going to happen next. And sadly, we don't use this information. We don't use these tools at all.
And and one of the things that we can very effectively use in micro learning is that we can use tools and we can create such tools. We are already creating such tools, which uh, which makes the person think in a little bit of a different way. Let's say, if I ask you, there are two ways to ask a certain question. Let's say if I ask you, what is 5 plus 5? The answer is very clear. 10. There is no confusion here. But if I ask you, what plus what is 10? Now there are many answers. 1 plus 9 is 10, 5 plus 5 is 10, 2 plus 8 is 10. Now the person gets to think of the question and not, I give him the answer. And he thinks of the question. Let's take an example in the shipping industry. Let's say I tell a person that there has been an enclosed space entry disaster or an accident during an enclosed space entry on board a ship, and the person inside has collapsed. And what do you think can be the probable reasons why this person now, let's say while walking on deck, chief officer realized that someone has fallen down in the enclosed space. He can see the person from the deck level. What do you think has happened with that person? What are the different reasons this can happen? Instead of going the other way around, instead of telling this happened, then tell us what will happen next. Instead of that, we give him the answer and we use the creative part of his mind to figure out the reason. Now, to figure out the reason, he needs a lot more knowledge. He needs to think a lot more as opposed to figuring out the answer to this problem. So this pattern of asking the question 5 plus 5 is what, as opposed to what plus what is 10, these are two different ways of asking the same question. Think about this. I mean, let's say, I'm sure Captain Parag also must have used this kind of an approach in his classes. I'm sure if I that you place a situation in front of the students, and then you, based on, of course, on their knowledge level and their expertise, not very advanced or whatever is their knowledge level, you place a situation and then you ask them to figure out the reason. Now, what that does is, first of all, it makes them think, and you are like, as the trainer, you can sit back and watch what are the different ideas coming up, what are the different thoughts coming up, what are the different, because, and it never gets the students bored. Now they will never get bored because they're continuously thinking, they're working, they're trying to solve this problem, and they're trying to come up with new ideas, new thoughts. This can very well be used in micro learning, because we are using this in the digital format. Instead of the classroom format, we are using the same concept in the digital format, where we are putting a person in a situation. Now, we are giving him the situation and then asking him to figure out that how he gets out of the situation. That is what gets translated into real world skills. When he goes on board, he might face a very similar situation, and then, since he has already thought about it, since he has already brainstormed about it, if I tell you something, you know the answer, but then you might forget. But if you think of the answer, you will never forget. You will never forget in your life an answer which you have thought for 5, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and then you have figured it out. This is something which will stay with you forever. But if I tell you the answer, it might fail. So micro learning can be very well used for a lot of these, instances, and making the person more practically useful on board.
True, true, very nice. I mean, Devashish,
Correct.
thank you very much. I mean, absolutely, it has been an enlightening session. Not on one
Yeah, it
count,
was good.
on many count, because we had somebody who was a practical trainer in the maritime history today, and I'm sure
Sure.
Parag would be definitely rethinking on the strategies that he uses in teaching, and definitely for me being an outsider to the kind of millennial teaching, it's been a learning for me as well. I think we already cost 40-45 minutes. So it's
Yeah.
time to close the show. And thank you very much, Parag. Thank you very much for joining. And Devashish, I would have the
Sure.
last words from our honorable guest. Parag, please.
Yeah. Sure.
Uh,
Parag, over to you.
Thank you, sir, for giving so much of information about this micro learning. And whatever ideas you have given in this session, I'll try to use for my teaching profession also. So, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Devashish. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain
Take
Parag.
care.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, all
Thank
the
you, sir.
viewers. Thank you for joining. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Bye bye. Take care. This is what it is, guys. Friday night show, 8 to 9. I've been practically very busy, no time to even breathe. With respect to the, Samyukta results are coming out now. We are revaluing papers, plus IMO competition is going on Marpol, where I'm guide to the IMU Calcutta College. So all things happening at one time. There's a port consultancy happening, and I'm doomed. I'm telling you. For morning, my day starts 9 o'clock in the morning. I mean, some of the people who have joined have witnessed it. Hi, Suvida. Thank you very much. So they have witnessed I'm so damn busy. Thank you very much for joining. But commitment is commitment. If you're committed once, you should always do the follow commitment. Thank you.